disrupt how we have learned and how we have taught for the past century. So there comes the next question. So how to prepare for changes or uncertainty in education? So I think that we need to prepare both technically and mentally. And I'm so thankful for all the 4 previous presenters for sharing with me and all other colleagues some significantly helpful techniques in order to cope with all the changes. And then in my presentation, I would like to continue by sharing with everyone some fighting related to mentality in context of uncertainty. So my topic today is improving teacher resilience in times of uncertainty, a review of literature. So there are 3 parts in my presentation. The first one, I'm going to share my findings about the impacts of uncertainties on teachers' physical and mental health. There come why resilience is needed in order to keep uncertainties at bay. And the last one would be my introduction about mindfulness-based intervention. So to start with, biology has confirmed that instinctively humans dislike uncertainties. So it is not the case that there are 2 groups of people, risk-averse people and then risk-taking people. We are all risk-averse at birth. But experience in our childhood and in our adolescence makes some people more risk-taking than other people. So why is that? This is because of something called survival instinct. So I'm sure that many of you are familiar with it saying, we can take a person out of Stone Age, but not the Stone Age out of the person. Even we are modern humans nowadays, we are still very strongly influenced. Or you can say that we still inherit from some behaviors and mentalities from our ancestors 200,000 years ago. And that is called the survival instinct. And survival instinct is so hardwired that on a daily basis, we're not aware of that. And what does it mean with our resistance to uncertainty? I think that this knowledge is very important because I'm sure that many of you, and me included, would have some feeling like, why am I so slow or clumsy in responding to changes? And once we know this one, that we are strongly influenced by our survival instinct, we can save ourselves from such guilty feeling. And once we no longer have such guilty feeling, we would be more relaxed. And once we are more relaxed, we would, mentally, we would be more willing to come up with coping strategies. So, now getting back to survival instinct. So this survival instinct is translated into our preference to take control of as many circumstances as possible. Why is that? Because it is the best way to guarantee our benefit, or at least our survival. And this is true for almost everyone, even the most passive individuals that you have come up with. Actually, those passive individuals, they have the faith that the people who are important for them would make the decision as they wish. So that's how they are actually in what is called the indirect control of situation. So that's why people tend to prefer status quo. And in psychology, there is such phenomenon called status quo bias, which means that as a human, we prefer things to stay unchanged for as long as possible for our own sake. Okay, that's why we would view uncertainties as threats. Whenever there is change, we don't know, we have instinctively and then instantly we would think that, oh, this is something not good because it's so new to me. I'm not prepared for it. I'm not familiar with it. So how our body reacts to threats, that is called in would work like this. This is the stress response system. There's an area in our brain which is called the hypothalamus. Hypothalamus. Okay, so this is an area in our brain that would in charge of such situation. So when we perceive that threats are coming, so this hypothalamus would release all the stress hormones, and some of the stress hormones that we are accustomed to are cortisol and adrenaline. So this part of the brain would push all the stress hormone for some important organs in our body, including our heart rate. So that's why our heart beats faster when we feel threatened. So, and then it would make some dilation in our lung. So that's why we breathe faster. And it also makes our muscle tense. So that's why like we feel shaky when we face something that we think that is stress. And it also raise our blood pressure. Okay, so actually this stress response system is very needed for survival. So that's why threats are actually good, only when it happens sometime. Okay, it sharpens our mechanism to survive. However, when there's day or when we face with threats or uncertainties or changes too often for too long, it's become really harmful. It's like a machine which has to work at high frequency for a long time. The result is that the machine would become worn out. Okay. So that is some impact of prolonged uncertainties on physical health. So when our heart got to beat so fast for too long, the consequence is we may increase our possibility of having heart attack or stroke, and then because of the adrenal glands, we might have diabetes, and then our stomach ache, and then heartache and insomnia, and then we also have back pain and then shoulder pains. When we are stressed, when we are under stress, you would feel a lot of discomfort in this area, because our muscle got too tense for too long. So that's why the pain is made. And then our immune system would get less effective. That's why we would catch flu and cold more often. Okay, and not just only it takes a toll on our physical health, but our mental health also gets to suffer. And it's also scientifically proved that when we are under stress for too long, our memories might be reduced, and then we are more anxious, and then we are more depressed, and many cognitive functions are reduced. So it is to say that when we are exposed for too many stress at one time, we're not. It's not only that we're not willing to be prepared. We're not willing to create solution to cope with that situation, but we don't have enough resource to implement the solution. Okay, so when they are combined, the physical impact and the mental impact are combined, it is called burnout. And as teachers, we actually experiencing burnt out very often. And in Britain in 2019, teacher is ranked as one of the most stressful jobs. One of the most stressful jobs. I think that's one of the most 10 stressful jobs. Okay, because it's the fact that in class we got to deal with so many individuals, we got to implement so many activities, and then that caused our stress. And the thing got worse during the COVID-19 pandemic. We got to work at home, so we got to perform not only professional tasks, we got to do cleaning, cooking, taking care of children, and then our spouse, and then doing the laundry. Too much thing at work would cause the burnout. And I would like to share with you that this is also scientifically proved that women appear to be more prone to burnout than men. Okay. Um, so here comes. I hope that this helped to explain the reason why resilience is needed. So when it comes to change, when it comes to change, and then what kind of innovation we can come up with to cope with what is happening, many people would. I know that many techniques and many interventions have been promoted, like how to teach and then how to organize the classroom. But I think somehow resilience is still overlooked. But resilience actually is really needed in order to keep uncertainty at bay, okay, to cope with stress better. So for some people, resilience is still some abstract thing, so I would like to share with you explanation about resilience. So resilience is defined as an individual capacity to overcome adverse experiences that would be otherwise considered to make negative impacts. So resilient process actually have 3 stages. The first one is that we've got to alter our perception of uncertainties. The second one is accepting uncertainties, and the third one is involving actively in uncertainty. Let's get to the first step, altering perception of uncertainty. So we know that once our brain see that a change or something new is threat, it will come up with coping strategy. So the first thing we do is that we need to change that. We need to make ourselves believe that something new is not a threat. It's just another neutral event that happened in our life. So once we convince ourselves that this is not a threat, we no longer are stressed. We no longer feel threatened. And it's easy. So that the stress coping mechanism is turned off. That's why we feel better relaxed, and that's why we can be more innovative, which is really important. And that's why we can be, more mentally stronger to cope with all the uncertainty. But I'm sure that many people believe that this is quite challenging. How can we alter the way we think? How can we not viewing something new not as a threat? So that's why I would like to introduce to you an intervention which has been very popular in Western world, and especially in education for the last 50 years. So I think that 50 years is enough to prove its effectiveness, and this is called mindfulness-based intervention. I forgot to mention that resilience actually is innate, but it also can be nurtured. We can learn to improve our resilience. So if you are like me, so previously I was very fragile. So I was very easily threatened. But after several years of practicing mindfulness, I would see so many significant changes in the way that I view things, and my resilience has been getting really better. So mindfulness-based interventions. So first, I would like to share with you the definition of mindfulness. So mindfulness is actually the process of drawing an individual attention to the present moment, what is happening right now, right here, in a non-judgmental and welcoming manner. So it is to say that, like, I'm presenting in front of you, so I'm noticing like my breath, I'm noticing that I'm feeling a little nervous, so that's why I'm speaking a little faster than usual, and I'm feeling something right here in my stomach, and then I would see every of you. I'm totally attentive to the moment, but I'm not going to say that whether this moment is good or not. And then I welcome all the presence of everything and every individual in the moment. So as you can see, from the definition of mindfulness, that if we practice it long enough, it would gradually change the way that we view things. So gradually, and it's usually after like several months or even years, we will start seeing everything as neutral. There's no good or bad. It's just another event coming to us, and we are fully capable of coping with it. So if you are interested in mindfulness-based intervention, you would look for a lot of papers and a lot of studies which prove the effectiveness of mindfulness-based intervention on our mentality and our resilience. So a researcher called Bear in 2003 stated that the practice of mindfulness-based interventions result in higher level of resilience. And then, and Thompson in 2011 say that when a person employs a non-judgmental manner to look at present situation, they can lessen internalizing and externalizing acts when confronted with unfavorable situations. And then Greg and then his co-author in 2012 says that possessing an accepting, optimistic attitude towards life circumstances is vital in overcoming traumatic experiences. So that is what I want to share with you about resilience. And before I really finish, I would like to share with you that if you're interested in practicing mindfulness by intervention, there is a very simple and easy to do activity for you. It's called the mindful drinking. So for example, I have a glass of water. So normally what we do, or what we think when we drink water, we never just merely drink water. We will think of, oh, what we are going to have for dinner. And then, oh, how about the research? And then, oh, I gained weight recently. You never really drink the water, but if you follow the mindfulness-based intervention, you just merely drink the water. You enjoy the taste of the water. And it's really interesting that after a while practicing mindfulness, I really feel that the water tastes really nice. Yes, it's not bland at all. It tastes really nice. And if you focus totally on the drinking, you would totally focus on how your hand touch a cup, and then how light the cup is, and then how your lips touch the cup, and then that's how at that very short moment you would release yourself from all other, and it's just like 5 minutes, and then just within that 5 minutes you could really find your peace of mind, which is really precious nowadays when we are under so much pressure. And I think that is going to be very helpful in the near future when we are going to, welcome more changes, especially as a teacher, as one of the stressful jobs. One last thing I would like to share with you. I think I still have time.
Yeah.
5 minutes? 1 minute, yeah. So actually, this is the tattoo on my hand. It says mindfulness. I got it like 7 years ago when I was first introduced to mindfulness, and then back in time I started practicing it, not very constantly, because back in time I wasn't very well aware of that, but something deep inside makes me think that it's good for my mind, so I do it. But the practice was on and off, but it was really helpful after 5 years. When 2 years ago, my mother was diagnosed with breast cancer. For many people, it could be a trauma, because my mom back in time, she had never been hospitalized for 1 week. She was really physically strong. But the moment, so it is to understand that when she got into the hospital, and then when she got diagnosed with something terrible as cancer, it could cause, anxiety and then miserable feelings for many people. But at that moment, I didn't feel so. My dad and I, we thought that, okay, so she got a disease. I'm the only child. So my dad and I both thought that, okay, she got a disease, and what we need to do now is to help her, to take care of her. We didn't have any moment thinking that it was a misfortune, or why we had that, why we got to suffer that. We were good people. We are good people for our life. We treat everyone so nice, especially my mom. She's really kind. So why we got to take this karma? But we didn't think that so. We just think that, okay, that's an event that we need to cope with. So most of the time I felt good, and that was the time that I practiced mindfulness even more frequently. I felt okay, and then I take care of my mom, and that's energy really contagious, and then it makes my mom think that it feel better. Many times she questioned me, little Ling, why did it happen to me? Why was it me but not other people? I think, it's randomly happened to some people, but you don't have to think about it. And then I and Dad, we are all here to take care of you. And I don't know, but then back of my mind, I felt that it was actually like something good that would bring something good for our family. And after it's over, I really think that it's actually a gift, because that was a chance that my family bonding gets better. So honestly, with you, before that event, relationship between my mother and my father was not so good because of some misunderstanding. But afterwards, that was so much better. And then for me, my mom usually thought that I was the spoiled kid. I couldn't take care of myself because she do everything for me, from cleaning my room, from cooking for me, and then from choosing my job, and then choosing my university. She doubted that I cannot live on my own. But when she saw that I could stay up all night with her at the hospital, and then the next day I wrote to work and then perform my tasks at school, and then still feel good, she believed that I'm a grown-up person now, and then she could rely on me. So by practicing resilience, I became a shoulder for my mother to lean on. And I truly believe that that's how we can get over that situation. And I'm so thankful that for now my mom is healthy, and my family after that event is so much better. So I am here as a living example that mindfulness-based intervention is really work. It's really effective. And so by becoming more resilient, not only you help yourself to overcome challenges or difficulty, but you can also become, shoulders for your beloved people, for people who you really care. So that's why, the final ritual when practicing mindfulness is like this, because we are really thankful, and deep down we're really thankful for all the events that have happened in my life. Probably at first it is disguised as a challenge, but if you are calm enough, and then if you are resilient enough, when it's over, you might see that it's just a lesson and it's just a gift. Thank you.
It's so interesting to listen to you, and I myself am very, very interested in your presentation.